Scott Sackett, that's ordinarily here with me on Wednesday, is working hard on his comic book, and he's at the point where he's got to think so hard. There's just no point on him acting like he can walk and talk at the same time on it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So instead, I've got James Punk-Hiro with me. And is it Hiro or Hero? It's Hero, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Sure.
But I will accept any pronunciation.
Anything will do.
Yeah. So how you been?
Been doing good. I've got a couple movies on tap to watch. I've got one that's really annoying me that maybe you can help me suss it out. It's something about a guy that learns there's things moving in the background of all things. It's supposedly Italian. It's hard to see, and it's like it's not quite Lovecraftian. It's just a guy that kind of knows that it strikes me as the kind of thing the Japanese would do. You know, this guy becomes aware of, like, there's wheels moving behind wheels, and it may even have the dead coming back to life in some weird way.
Right. So it could be maybe Dario Argento, sort of?
Yeah, it's like that, only it's like a guy that...
Oh, Cemetery Man, maybe.
I know what you're talking about there, too. No, this one is so obscure. That's what is annoying to me, is that I've let something I had on my list to try to track down and knew it would be hard, but now I've lost the name.
I hate that. That's my favorite thing, is to find lost gems like that.
Yeah. So what have you seen lately that you like?
Oh, man. I love everything.
Lost gem-wise. Any lost gems that you've seen that you say nobody else is watching this? I'm alone.
I would say the last lost gem I watched was Damnation Alley with George Papard and Jan Michael Vincent. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I saw that when that came out. That was it's one of those ones where I caught it. Heck, I even the guy that wrote it had a buddy of me went to Norman to hear him speak. I think his name's Norman Spinrad, and so we trekked up there to hear him talk.
Wow, I didn't know it was that well known.
Yeah, he wrote it. And he was one of those guys, you know, a Harlan Ellison kind of contemporary kind of guy.
I'm always drawn to those type of low budget horror movies, or, you know, the cheese type factor movies.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of cheese and going on in that, but I don't know if it was considered low budget.
Maybe back then, perhaps not. But when I always talk about Grindhouse movies or 42nd Street movies, people are like, "You mean the Tarantino movie?" And I'm like, "No, it's a whole genre of film, you know, exploitation."
And, things that were there, like you say, the Grindhouse notion is you know, the screen never rests. Basically, you can come in any time of the day and the movie's going to be going. That's how they make their money. They just never stop.
I have a friend, well, I've never met him in person, but it's an interesting story, really. You should research his life. I don't know what to think, but he's always been good to me, so it'll be interesting for you to look him up, though. His name's Eric Red. And it's bizarre how close his personal life resembles the stories that he writes. He wrote The Hitcher, Near Dark. He directed Bad Moon.
Interesting. Yeah. I've seen a lot of these. I'm not sure if I've seen Bad Moon. I have managed to catch up with, like, The Hitcher is not exactly obscure, but I don't think a lot of people have seen that. You know, everybody should have seen it when Rutger Hauer died, I guess. But
yeah.
But that is pretty cool. That is a very good of the genre of the relentless killer. That is good
Yeah,
stuff.
it's one of those things you have to ask yourself: is art, imitating life, or vice versa? Yeah, he got into some legal trouble. Long story short, is he killed some people.
Oh, he
Uh,
did. He killed them over disputes or what?
um,
Or for
it's
weirdness.
weirdness. Yeah, pretty much. His defense was road rage,
Hmm.
which is odd considering the movies. Most of his movies are consist of some sort of vehicular manslaughter or
Hmm.
murder or something like that. But if you read the police report, it seems almost impossible that it could have been road rage. But he's a fascinating guy.
That is
You
interesting.
should read the story. Yeah,
And he's just known as Red or what?
Eric Red.
Eric.
And
Oh, yeah. Well, he's okay.
when I talked to him when Becker Howard died,
Uh huh.
and I asked him about that, and he said, you know, that character I wrote for Wrecker Hauer was it was like Wrecker Hauer and I shared an umbilical cord.
Hmm.
That character, and considering what he was accused of,
Yeah.
it kind of freaked me out, to be honest with
Well,
you.
I mean, the murders didn't occur before he made the movie, did they? Or did they?
No, no,
Okay. So this is like you say, it's life imitating art, huh?
yeah. Last 20 years, it happened.
Hmm. That's interesting. Well, yeah, we're talking about writers. Harlan Ellison had a bad road rage thing where he was beaten pretty badly by somebody.
Really?
Yeah, he had to, but you might as well just go ahead and kill Harlan Ellison if you're going to beat the hell out of him, because he's one of these guys that will sue you into oblivion, and he went ahead and did that after he got his beating.
Yeah. Well, could you imagine Hunter S. Thompson with road rage? That would be a
Oh
scary
yeah,
thing.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, you would be armed. You would know that.
Then he would have a typewriter as he was driving, probably. You
Yeah.
wonder if all that can be true.
What, all of Thompson's writings?
I mean, the stories about him actually typing while driving a car.
You might try to pull it off. I guess deadlines. I don't know. He never struck me as the kind of guy that let the stress get to him. It always seemed
Yeah,
like he was putting and basically having Jan Winter on in terms of like having him underwrite what he was up to at the time. It's like,
yeah,
why don't you send me out here and I'll do something totally different than I'm told you I'm going to be doing, and we'll both be happy. Well, maybe you won't be as happy, but
how's the podcast going?
what, me and Scott?
Yeah, well, the movie podcast.
Oh, the movie podcast, the classic cinema podcast. We've had a couple of them that were kind of, I guess, kind of like dingers. I made everybody mad with Freebie and the Bean, because I was trying to match one guy that makes it a point not to have seen the movie. I said, man, there's so many movies. And so I thought, well, what about a movie that is allegedly the first cop buddy movie that has actors I know are great in it, has a director that directed something everybody talks about and thinks well of the stunt man. I think his name is Richard Rush. And so I said, well, can't much go wrong with Freebie and the Bean. And man, I tell you what, it was unanimous. I mean, I've never heard so much commenting and
Oh, really?
almost getting angry at it because they were stuck. They were stuck with watching it. At the same time, I kind of appreciated it for what it was, because it seems so disjointed and so you fill in the blanks kind of that, or not even fill in the blanks. It was one of those things where it asked a lot from the audience. Hey, figure this out. we're just going to show it to you once real quick, but you'll get it. You're smart.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you can really appreciate that. And,
And sometimes they overestimate the audience.
yeah. He overestimated us, yeah. It had it had a couple of great scenes. And the vehicular stuff, just going back to that, it had some great car crashes, and it's old school stuff. I mean, it's like Death Proof. What Tarantino was after is like real machines moving down the road and running into each other and stuff. And
Yeah.
real is real, and they have some great car crashing footage going on in 3D and the Beam. It's pretty good at there on that level.
I'll have to revisit that at some point.
Oh, you have seen it?
A long time ago.
But it's
man.
got other stuff. Maybe not so much. But so we did that, and then Scott made everybody just practically go to sleep by his choice. We you can't get around the fact that it's a classic. But he decided we were going to all watch Wizard of Oz.
Oof.
And so we were all sitting there and saying, yeah, I have seen this about how many times. And so there was no surprises that night. And, so that makes things kind of low energy. And later, it's like the follow-on to these things. It's like when we're all communicating via email, it's like I always get inspired to look up the trivia later. It's like it would help things if I'd look it up before the podcast. But the trivia, of course, on Wizard of Oz is a yard long, So,
yeah. A lot of mythology, a lot of mythos around that movie, too.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of stuff. And of course, we all knew a lot of it. We all knew that Buddy Epson almost died and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's supposed to be somebody who hangs themselves in the background.
Yeah.
He was allergic to the paint, right, or something like that.
Well, the way they put it on him, they used they sprayed it onto him, got into his lungs, and just nearly killed him. And then for the other guy, I believe his name is Jack Haley, the guy that ended up doing it, they had a more of an ointment for him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite as scattery.
Didn't
What? Go ahead.
Didn't the same thing happen to the lady who was in Goldfinger?
Well, that's weird that you mentioned Goldfinger. That's what I was watching last night.
Really?
Yeah, it's and I'll tell you another odd thing about it. I quit watching Goldfinger after about seeing Up to Odd Job and Jill Masterson trying to assassinate Goldfinger the first time and almost shoots, Bond's foot off. So I got to that point. I said, well, I'll watch some more of it later, and got back onto Prime, started looking around, and of course the usual thing, you never can decide to look at anything. They offer you so much dumb stuff. And so I rejected all these things. I said, hey, look at that, Riff Tracks, Girl from Rio. I bet that's stupid. I put that on, and by golly, it was the same actress, Shirley Eaton, that was the girl that was covered with gold.
Wow.
And so, just think about the odds of that randomness.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah. Like you say, that Scott Adams claiming that we're all part of a, what do you call it, a simulation.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I wonder.
So I've got a thing going right now. I got my light table out here. A guy named Brad Ashworth wanted to do an art trade, and because we're on the D&Q together, I said, okay. To me, doing art is always going to be a little bit of a project. You always have to think about it a little bit. So he was going to trade me just my last year's Inktober's Doctor Strange,
Ooh,
but then
nice.
but then when I dug it out, it was like it was all flimsy and just on typing paper. And so on this one, I just now did a thumbnail, blew the thumbnail up to this size, and now I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm in walk and talk at the same time. And now I'm going to put it on 8.5 by 11. Nice piece of, what do you call it? Bristol board.
Cool. Yeah, I have that same light board.
Yeah. Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a.
11 by 17.
Oh no,
USB.
mine is more like. I don't think it's 11 by 17. Let me look at it real quick. This is. I'm looking at the wrong end of it. It is 14. Mine is more like 10.5 by 14. So this for scale, that is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. That's
Yeah.
what it's designed to take.
Cool. I got mine off of wish.com or something like that.
11 by 17 is a better size to have, but I thought I visualized never having to work that big. I don't like to work large. I get away with it. I never worked bigger than 8.5 by 11.
Yeah. How did the Enrolled piece go?
Oh, well, that came out. I mean, I did almost 90% of it on the iPad. That was cool, which I dug. I'm digging that iPad.
Yeah. What's so portable?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just. It's been, I've just been a guy that's always done stuff on a tablet, and now I'm finally, even though I did have the little Cintiq for a while,
Yeah.
it just never worked for me quite the way this iPad seems to be working for me now. Digging that.
Everything seems simplified on that thing. It's streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I'm upside down. And it's
Yeah, you are. I could have mentioned that, I guess.
And I
But
don't
I
know.
thought you had a motive.
Well,
Describing motives to people.
I'm distracting them. They're like, hey, I can't tell if he really can draw or not because it's upside down.
Exactly.
That's my goal. So Scott's at the
He's working on Heaven's
midnight hour.
Rejects. Yeah, he's working on Heaven's Rejects, having to think because he's into that stage where you're having to do your breakdowns, and it's like almost as hard as writing to
Oh yeah.
have to do your figure out what goes where. The guy I'm reading a book now, and I forget. It was probably one of those guys. I follow Trailers from Hell on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I get announcements and pronouncements from some of these guys, what they're up to and into. And I think that's where I saw mention of this book. It's called Directed by Jack Arnold. And of course, he directed, The Amazing Shrinking Man and Creature from the Black Lagoon. It Came from Outer Space. And the other big one is Tarantula, and one other really big one. Yeah. I mean, he was a big deal to me as a kid growing up. He had some of the more interesting. Well, he did also The Creature Walks Among Us, but then he was out for The Creature's Revenge. He had enough of The Creature.
Yeah. Did he ever go legit? Or I mean, I consider those movies legit, but I mean.
Oh yeah. Well, he was. Actually, it's kind of interesting. That's what I'm appreciating by doing the reading here is that he was just a hired hand, really, pretty much his entire life. He was from hunger in a lot of cases on having to work just to pay the bills, So probably he should have at one point thought more of himself, like it's weird that some guy like Mario Bava didn't think of enough of himself to say, "I'm good. I'm striking out, and I'll find my own money and make my own movies or whatever." But he never did. He was always just a guy that I I'm saying that I think I know what I'm talking about it. I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong though. You got to watch this kind of stuff where someone will hate you for your rest of your life for
Yeah.
putting out info about your heroes. It's totally wrong. I just realized I think I know that, but I can't be sure.
What do you think about Jack Hill? You Jack Hill
Oh
fan?
wow! It's interesting you talk about Jack Hill because
Don't
I
tell me
did.
we're in the Matrix again.
Yeah, because I just watched Pit Stop recently, which is his one of his very early films, and it's I watched it after Sid Haig died.
Yeah.
And that's available on YouTube. Anybody can see it, and it's a pretty dang cool movie because of it's got the guy that the star of it is really interesting because he is without what do you call it when there's just no point in even thinking anybody ought to like you. He's just without redeeming qualities.
Right.
And by the end of it, he is someone who is so totally self-absorbed he can walk away from a room mourning the death of another driver and talk to the Brian Don Levy outdoors and say, "Well, I guess I'm down the road to the next gig." And it's like I've never seen anybody try to pull that off to such an extent. Saying this is our hero, which ordinarily you have to have somebody that's worse than him if you're going to call him the hero. And no,
I love that kind of thing. It's very rare. I mean,
yeah,
kind of. You can go outlaw Josie Wells. He was kind of like that.
yeah, maybe, a little bit, yeah.
But I hate to go modern because I'm not really a big fan of modern films. But Rob Zombie kind of did that with his Sid Haig and The Devil's Rejects, which I think is
sure. Those are your heroes, and that is kind of hard to take in a lot of ways. But yeah, and then I also saw there was a guy I was trying to track down who was well, it may have been another interview. I guess it was an interview where Jack Hill was talking about Switchblade Sisters, again from a trailer from hell. And that movie, I've seen it before. I need to see it again sometime. But he was talking about his favorite narrator for his trailers was a guy named Ron Gans. And so I copied a couple of snippets of him. He's great. Like Hill says about him, everything he does, it doesn't matter what he's saying. It sounds just slightly sleazy the way he says it.
Yeah.
And it's got a great voice.
There's this guy that does the trailer for, it's called Teenage Mother.
Probably so, yeah. As a matter of fact, here I'll play it.
And I can't believe it. The way he talks is Teenage Mother. It's just he's got a thick, it's either Boston or New York accent.
Well, maybe we are talking about a different guy. I'll unplug my headphones here in a second and play it for you as soon as I locate it.
I can't find anything. My stuff either.
Sure. Yeah, Ron Gans. I do have it. Okay. Hey, can you hear that?
I cannot.
Okay. I was just making sure it wasn't. I can hear it, of course, over my headphones, but I'm going to be hearing Okay, now you'll probably be able to hear it. Okay, I'll turn everything up here. You'll recognize the voice.
The Big Birdcage, a strange and brutal world of men who are only half men, and women who are more than all women. Meet the girls of the Big Birdcage. enslaved to every cruel whim and desire of a ruthless madman.
Good stuff.
Abused
Oh
by
yeah.
savage degenerates. Ravaged by vicious dogs. Punished by the terrible machine that maims tender bodies and cripples innocent young minds. Denied the one thing which would make their life bearable, their overheated passions burst forth in a wild rampage of vengeance and destruction. The Big Birdcage, starring Pam Grier, Anitra Ford, Candace Roman, Ted Abrachi, Carol Speed, Karen McKevick, and Sid Haig.
Sid Haig.
Pam Grier was a sort of his go-to girl. You there? Uh-oh. Lost you. And I'm upside down. I'm without Ellis. Who is going to guide the ship? Ellis, I didn't do it, I swear. I did not kick you out. This is the Ellis show. Ellis left his own show. He's not going to be able to get back in. And I won't know what to do. Is computer shut down? I don't see any message in Twitter. Maybe I'm the one out of the room. No, I'm still on the show. I think I'm being punished for having my drawing upside down. What point should I back out here? I don't want to be taking up Ellis's airtime, his airwaves. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll leave and come back, if that's possible.
Hey, oh my God. I'm a guest in my own show. And I got, oh well, I'm out of here. What a mess. What a train wreck.